Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I will call to order the Arvada City Council business meeting for December 16th, 2024. I will call upon Mayor Pro Tem Mormon for the moment of reflection and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good evening. Please join me in a moment of reflection. And now stand, and if you are able, to join in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Morris, quickly, would you prefer to have a motion to excuse Councilmember Marriott before or after the swearing-in ceremony?
It'll be after roll call.
Okay.
So it'll be after the swearing-in ceremony.
Okay. Thank you very much. Then at this time, I would like to call up Judge Kurtz for the swearing-in of our newest City Council member, Mr. Brad Rupert.
Come near the mic so that people can hear us. Are you okay with us here? All right. If you would please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Brad Rupert,
I, Brad Rupert,
do solemnly swear
that
I will support the Constitution of the United States,
I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
the Constitution of the State of Colorado,
and the laws of the State of Colorado,
and the laws of the State of Colorado,
and will faithfully perform the duties of the office of Councilmember at Large
of the office of Council Member at Large
for the City of Arvada,
for the City of Arvada,
upon which I'm about to enter, to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And congratulations.
All right.
And I'll have you sign one copy for each county, please.
Is it misspelled?
Very good, thank you.
Okay,
nice to
thank
meet
you.
you.
Nice to meet you as well.
And it looks like they have
Okay,
your
I
spot
guess
all
it's
ready to
your
go.
All right, Mr. Rupert, please come take your seat. I did. All right, and with that, I will accept a motion for the excusal of Mr. Marriott this evening.
Roll call first.
Okay. Roll call first.
Mayor Simpson?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Mormon?
Here.
Councilmember Ambrose?
Here.
Councilmember Davis?
Here.
Councilmember Pfeiffer?
Here.
Councilmember Marriott? Councilmember Rupert?
Here.
Mr. Pfeiffer.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to excuse Mr. Marriott from tonight's business meeting.
Okay.
Councilmember Ambrose, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay. Oh. Sorry, I have to lock everybody out here. There we go. That vote passes 6-0 with Councilmember Marriott being an excused absence. We have the approval of the minutes for December 2nd, 2024. Are there any edits or corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, those stand approved. We have no communications or presentations this evening, so we'll go straight to public comment. First, we will begin with Pat Malone. And just as a general reminder to the audience, public comment is your opportunity to speak to us, your council members. We always ask that you keep your comments directed to us and not to others who may be in chambers who you may agree or disagree with. We also ask that you respect the chambers, so no applauding, no booing, no anything of that kind of nature. So please always do that. And if you require follow-up, a member of the team will get back to you after that, but this is not our opportunity to respond to questions. So with that, Ms. Malone, 3 minutes whenever you're ready.
Hello, my name is Pat Malone. I live at 6273 Kilmer Loop in Arvada, 80403. And while there are many reasons to be concerned about the drastic changes coming to our country, based on what we've been told to expect. The one I want to speak about tonight has to do with my concern for our Arvada immigrant population. We've been promised that millions of immigrants will be deported, with little specifics as to the order in which the government plans to go after them or what tactics they plan to use. But I feel we need to expect the worst. And Arvada, like every town around the country, has immigrants. And they're our friends, they're our neighbors, sometimes even they are our relatives. And they sometimes clean our houses, they put our roofs on our houses, they take care of us when we're in the hospital, they serve us when we go to restaurants. They are our residents of Arvada, and we need to see that they're protected. So while our police department must comply with Colorado laws, including the 2019 law that says they do not assist ICE, I'm asking that the council reiterate to our police department that they are not to comply with orders to identify immigrants, to detain them, or otherwise act in support of the unconstitutional mandate to round up Arvadans. Having recently learned that one member of council considers homeless Arvadans wretches and who swayed other council members from moving forward on a plan to help the unhoused, it concerns me that council may be putting too much weight on the need for council unanimity. Whether our immigrants are citizens, whether they're undocumented, whether they're seeking asylum or whatever their status is, they are Arvadans, and they must be protected. And making a plan to protect them does not have to be unanimous. There is 1 month left before the day one promise to start deportation proceedings, and I'm here to ask that you take it deadly serious, that you instruct our police department to resist all efforts to comply with ICE orders, and that you make a plan to keep Arvadans safe, that you reach out to Arvada businesses to let them know what it is you are doing to keep their employees from being detained. And that's all I have for now, but I will be back. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Lily Alish.
Hi guys, my name is Lily Leash. I live off of West 61st Ave, and I share a fence line with the Early College of Arvada. First off, Councilmember Rupert, congratulations. We watched the interview, and we're thrilled to have you and your perspective and experience as part of the council. I also watched the, the study session the other weekend, and I was both encouraged and disheartened. I was encouraged by what Councilmember Pfeiffer said. He was very logical and compassionate to those in need and within our community, and found an approach that I think the rest of the council would help to just go along with and really try to understand. And then we had Councilmember Marriott, who's not here, who was very focused on budgeting and what is the purpose of the city versus county, which is another important perspective. Councilmember Davis, I do want to thank you for your willingness to learn and to listen to us constituents as an at-large council member, so thank you. Ambrose, I also would like to thank you for your compassion, and I understand that your experiences have shaped your perspective, but I still would like to urge you to please listen to your constituents in District 2. We are your constituents. It's not your experiences or what you believe, it's listening to your representatives. Mormon, I have not had a chance to speak with you as much, but thank you for your thoughts and comments during the study session as well. I would also like to thank Mayor Simpson, thank you. I want to just point out, you have a chance to leave a legacy, and what do you want that to look like? If you guys want to really help the transient community, putting a shelter in a neighborhood inadvertently affects another population. We already have neighbors moving out, neighbors that can't afford to live in Colorado, that are terrified for their children if you do put a shelter there. I don't want children behind my house if I don't want children in my house if you're going to have this certain type of place in a neighborhood. There are resources available, and I just urge you to take the logical, compassionate approach that is proven and research-backed and based. This is something that it's not just going to be for the next 2 to 4 years of your terms. It affects our livelihoods, it affects our lives, it affects the decisions we make. How long we live here is very dependent on what you guys do, and I really look forward to the public engagement as the next piece. We have a lot of people thinking that, is this it? Have you guys already decided? And I don't take that approach. I think you guys are still deciding and you're still looking at this objectively. And so I do want to thank you, but people are moving out and people are not happy with the representation in District 2. And I just thank you again for approaching this logically, budget-focused, taxpayers in mind, and with the constituents that you guys are going to be affecting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Hallie Fieldman.
Good evening. My name is Holly Fieldman. I live at 5360 Newland Street in Arvada and have for a long time. I'm here tonight to follow up on some of what Pat Malone said about asking City Council how to proceed policy-wise with the immigrants in Arvada, and especially with an eye towards protecting them. I want us, first, all of us, to remember that almost all of us here are here as a result of immigration, whether that was recent or generations ago. We need to remember also that few of us got to our current circumstances alone and unaided. Whether these circumstances concern our possessions, our education, our health, our general comfort, political and social status, whatever, each of us needs to remember that we had help of some kind. Very few, if any of us in this room, have direct experiences of the kinds that are currently bringing immigrants to the US, to Colorado, to Arvada. So any policy and practice concerning immigrants must take these things into account, please. Both individually and collectively, immigrants contribute disproportionately. They do some of the kinds of work that many Americans decline to do. They pay taxes, including payroll taxes, that most will never benefit from. Most importantly, they bring perspectives, experiences, life practices that broaden and enrich us all. Our daily lives are inflected in countless ways without our direct notice. The foods we eat, our health practices, changes to the ways Americans speak English. These things, too, must figure into how we regard immigrants and immigration, even in regards to policy. Policy is very often about dollars and cents, which it must be. I'm urging that these human perspectives be brought into play as well as you think about how we should proceed. Policies reflect our values. So we have a choice about whether we choose policies that deny common humanity to others, or policies that extend the protections of civilized living to all humans with whom we share space. On my view, there's really only one answer, but that's why we have city councils, is for discussion. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Ms. Lynn Clemens.
Good evening, I'm Lynn Clemens, 6202 Kilmer Loop, Unit 102, Arvada 80403. Thank you, City Council, for allowing me to speak tonight. My concern involves the Heritage Canal Trail found on the 2016 Arvada Master Plan for Parks and Trails. After receiving a FOIA request for meeting minutes of the Arvada Parks, Trails, and Open Space Master Plan that was developed in 2016, I discovered interesting comments regarding the canals and the easements along the canals. In APAC meeting minutes dated October 14, 2015, a Coffee with Gordon, attended by Dennis Meyer and Mike Holt, discussed, and I quote, expansion of criteria used to assess access to parks and trails. The additional metrics went beyond just distance to include items such as physical barriers, roadways, canals, and railroad lines. The Greenway Trail design is complete, went out for bid. The canal company is allowing access to 2,500 feet behind Stanley Lake Library. There is a master agreement with Croak Canal Company to operate trails along the canal in perpetuity, established project by project. The city and farmers, Croak and Church Canal companies have a good relationship, and unquote, from those meeting minutes. I believe it is these comments which advised the framers of the 2016 Parks, Trails, and Open Space Master Plan to include the Heritage Canal Trail in its plan. The easements exist on the 5950 McIntyre Street property, and I believe that these are Arvada city easements. There are maps which prove the easements along the canals exist, and I have a copy of the map. An undisclosed 30-foot trail/equestrian easement held by the city of Arvada was found in the records. This was a negotiated agreement between Colorado School of Mines Research Institute and Protect Fairmont in the 1980s to reduce the impact of their industrial project on the neighborhood. We brought this easement to the Corps and Jeffco's attention, as the easement does not show up on the developer's permit or the recent survey. So I am asking the City Council to find out what has happened to the master agreement with Croak Canal, and to work with Farmers Highline Canal Company to once again cooperate in good faith to preserve the Heritage Canal Trail, invoking the existing easements. I believe the Transportation Advisory Committee survey will reveal the residents of West Arvada are in favor of restoring the option of the Heritage Canal Trail. A trail or a bike lane along McIntyre Street is no longer an option. The traffic is already very heavy. The City of Arvada can choose to go to the developer of 5950 McIntyre Street and the canal companies and invoke the easements to preserve the Heritage Canal Trail. This will benefit thousands of bikers, walkers, and horse riders from Bab Bibber Trail to the Ralston Creek Trail. And I'll be taking this information to the county tomorrow when they have a meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm going to leave this.
Perfect. Thank you, Ms. Clemens. Next, we have Renee Cornell.
Good evening. I'm sure you recognize me. I would just like to talk about the Navigation Center, and I have a quote on my phone. I don't know if you've ever heard the story of the farmer and the mouse. It's a good story. You might check it out sometime. And when one of us is threatened, all of us are at risk. So I drove by the city of Arvada the other night, and it was cold, and I sat in the parking lot, and I'm assuming they were homeless. No one was here but the homeless. And one of the homeless men was taking trash out of the trash can and throwing it at the city of Arvada front door. I don't respect that. And I could see this happening in the Arlington Meadows neighborhood. We don't want that. We don't want it. And a navigation center on West 60th, it wouldn't be successful. You're going to have traffic problems. You're going to hear from the citizens of Arvada. And the focus on the homeless are not on the citizens of Arvada, which it should be. Everyone wants to turn this around to the homeless. They don't have a place to sleep in cold weather. And my heart goes out to them. I feel for them. But I do have more compassion for the Arlington Meadows neighborhood. I have not heard anyone say it will be difficult for them to live in their homes. If anyone here wants a homeless shelter across the street, please stand up from your home. If you want a homeless shelter, stand up. There's your answer. We are voters, and we have a doctorate's degree. We still cast only one vote. Our group is growing. The longer you wait to sell the building, the stronger we get. Find another location, please. It would be very much appreciated. Albert Einstein said, "It's not that I'm so smart, it's just that I stay with problems longer." I have a quick story. I'm watching the time. An acquaintance, she lives in an apartment over about 52nd and Wadsworth, an older lady, and she says she has to lock her door every night at 5 p.m. Sometimes the manager forgets to lock the lobby door, and so the homeless come in. They're trying to sell her cans of dog food for 50 cents. She doesn't own a dog. They try to sell her antennas. She can't even leave her apartment at 5. I really believe a shelter would not be a good idea. I believe if we had vans, and I've been reading up on this, and I've heard they even give the homeless some money, and they can sustain and get employment and get an apartment, and that's what I vote for. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cornell. Now, Dave Cornell.
Good evening. I'm Dave Cornell, 13633 West 64th Drive. The former Doubletree Hotel on Quebec Street in Denver became a navigation center for homeless in October of 2023. In the first 3 months after this conversion, crime calls to police went up by 2,900%. Among these calls were 2 murders. From July of 2023 to December of 2024, Denver has spent $155 million on homeless programs, which is $65 million more than Denver's Mayor Johnston projected. Do we want to saddle Arvada taxpayers with multi-million-dollar bills with the ECA building's proximity to the Gold Strike light rail station? It would be very easy for Denver homeless to come there. If they heard that it was better than where they're at, then that's exactly what they would do. Would we really be serving Arvada residents who have become homeless or Denver's homeless? While doing this, the hardworking, tax-paying citizens of Arlington Meadows would have their neighborhood degraded and endangered at the very high costs of the city of Arvada. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have James August.
Wow, that was deep stuff. My name is James August. I live at 5915 Broadway, west side of Arvada. I appreciate your opportunity to let me speak, Council. My concern is more at home, if you will. I'm basically a swimmer up at the new Arvada Apex Center pool up there, which used to be the old Myers complex. The facility opened a couple weeks ago, and people have had an opportunity to use it, see what works. And it's a beautiful facility. I think $50 or more million was spent on it. I have one observation, though, that makes it difficult for some people, which is to say the locker rooms, both men and women's, all are lined with 12-inch seating. To put that in perspective, you folks out here in bench seating are in about 15.5 seating with a back. That seating is 12 inches up against a flat wall of lockers. People like me with back injuries struggle to keep our rear ends on the seat. And as a result, I sent a comment up to the Apex Center saying it wasn't in compliance with the American ADA standards. Those are 20 to 24 inches. Those are not standards, they're actually regulations in the ADA Act. What they did is forward it to the builder, and the builder sent a note back to me that suggested I was being petty. Nobody had ever complained about it before. They had alternate seating available in the family areas and in the shower area. Family areas, as far as I'm concerned, were designed for families, not old swimmers. The one area that is in there that is 20 inches is in front of the showers, and it's as wide as this, and it's flooded with water. There's a corridor between that and the lockers. So I don't think that was in good faith. The builder suggested that in fact, because of those areas, they were in compliance with the ADA Act. Technically, perhaps. Practically, no. The practical seating, like I said, is 12 inches compared to this 15 and a half up against a straight wall. So I'm asking that the city back up the Apex Center and ask the builder to correct that defect so that it is in compliance with the law. So with that, that's all I really have to say. I think the builder should pick it up because they, as a builder of public building, are obliged to comply with the ADA Act. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Ms. Joyce Richardson.
Good evening, Mayor and City Councilors. First of all, I'd just like to say I live in District 2 and I do support the Navigation Center and the shelter. But I'm Joyce Richardson. I live at 6521 West 69th Way in Arvada, and I've been there for 36 years. Tonight I want to talk about a concern I have. Given all of the rhetoric coming from Washington, D.C. about deportations, I ask that our city leadership direct the police to follow state law and to refuse to use its resources to help ICE or any other entity with any attempts to round up our immigrant population here in Arvada. I also want the city to be ready with an action plan if large groups of anti-immigrant or white supremacist groups begin to show up to harass our residents. Immigrants play an important role in all of our lives and livelihoods here in Colorado, over $400 million in taxes in 2022. While I realize I'm standing on Native American land as I speak, and I feel that there is something owed about that, I also know immigrants have made up the tapestry of what is the United States. We must welcome newcomers and be ready to protect our residents from unlawful seizure or harm. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Bruce Morrison.
Hi. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. I want to remind the council of all the people that testified back in February of this year, urging the city of Arvada to do something to help the homeless. The previous city council, of course, didn't have any interest at all in dealing with the problem. The homeless are with us. They are in our communities, and we urged a navigation center and a 24-hour shelter. Now there's resistance, and I can certainly relate to a lot of the concerns raised, particularly the feeling that people who are in their homes, but their jobs don't pay as much as they should. Modest home. I'm also in District 2, area that has modest homes and often feels neglected by the city. But I just hope with all my heart that you don't use this as an excuse to delay, to say, okay, now we got resistance. We can take a couple of years or whatever it is. But yeah, just to kick the can down the road. The other thing that I want to talk about is I want to say ditto to Pat and Joyce about their concerns for the immigrant community that do essential work in our communities, and also mention that some of the things that they are coming from are pretty horrific situations. Drug gangs, our government supports coups and tyranny in Central South America. We've fought wars. Every time you fight a war, you create millions of refugees. So I just want to say ditto that the city should not cooperate with ICE to deport people that are struggling and helping our communities. Let's see, what else? The other big concern I have is since some of the I haven't really seen it in Colorado, but it could happen. They'll have white supremacist gangs, rioting and attacking immigrants and other people that they don't like. So I hope that the police department would have a plan for that. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Finally, we have Tiffany Munoz.
Tiffany Munoz, 6275 Xavier Court. After watching the study session on Saturday, December 7th, I logged off with mixed feelings. Homelessness is a complex issue, and I understand the pressure the council is getting from the Old Town businesses. However, it was extremely disheartening to hear the continued narrative that any homeless resource must be relocated from Old Town because businesses are suffering. Prioritizing businesses over residents is a problematic approach. Instead, neighborhoods and businesses should be respected and prioritized in the path forward. Time and again, we have been told that homeless resources must be located near transportation, jobs, and food access. Old Town is one of the few areas in Arvada offering these resources. The G-Line, RTD bus stops, employment opportunities, grocery stores, and services like Mission Arvada, which provide essential day and shelter services. Yet the prevailing message is to move people away from these critical resources to address business complaints. During the meeting, it was acknowledged that programs like BID and CORE are making strides. If these programs are newly implemented, why are we not giving them a chance to work before considering relocating? Why aren't we enhancing security measures to protect both businesses and individuals? Why aren't we holding Jefferson County Sheriff's Office more accountable for enforcing the law and addressing criminal behavior? I am grateful that the council decided to pause and commit to further study sessions and align on the necessary data. I also appreciate Councilmember Bob Pfeiffer and John Marriott for highlighting the lack of reliable and comprehensive data such as the PINT count. Although a widely cited measure, it is not consistent year to year and is often incomplete, making it an unreliable basis for decision making. I would like to offer some clarification to comments about homeless lasting only a year and Salt Lake City curing homelessness. Salt Lake City's approach of housing first focused on providing permanent housing to the homeless without addressing root cause issues. While this reduced homelessness by 90% in 2015, recent reports show the success rate is now declining and it is at 71%, as the core issues were never addressed. Providing housing without support systems such as childcare is not a solution. Additionally, the claim that most people are homeless for only a year is not accurate. Factors such as local conditions, the availability of affordable housing, and support services, again, such as childcare, play a significant role. As Shauna mentioned, current programs do often require an eviction notice to qualify for assistance, but we don't have to accept these limitations. With Council's partnership, we can reform existing programs to remove these barriers. We can support families earlier and ensure that homelessness is brief and rare, instead of building new programs, duplicating efforts, hiring additional staff, and funding additional infrastructure. We should invest in improving, expanding, and properly funding what we already have. I want to close by congratulating Brad Rupert on his appointment as our new council member. I remain optimistic that you will approach your role with integrity and committed to independent research and actively listening to the voices of these constituents. I hope you will prioritize serving the community and make decisions that reflect the needs and concerns of the people you now represent.
Okay. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else in chambers who would like to provide public comment at this time? Seeing none, Ms. Rush, do we have any on Zoom? Seeing none, I will close public comment and I will move us into the consent agenda. We have had a request to move one item off the consent agenda this evening, R24-130. I will take a motion to move that item. Councilmember Davis.
Thank you. I move that R24-130, resolution revising and adopting bylaws for the Arvada Housing Advisory Committee, be moved to January 6th meeting.
Thank you. Motion to, is it on the floor? All right. Councilmember Ambrose, how do you vote?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. That motion passes 6-0 with Councilmember Marriott being an excused absence. And I'm glad we moved that. That was actually his request that we move that off. So I'm glad we'll be able to do that for him. Next, we have 3 items on this evening's consent agenda. They are R24-128, a resolution adopting the City of Arvada's 2025 legislative agenda. R24-129, a resolution amending and restating in its entirety the Police Money Purchase Retirement Plan, now known as the City of Arvada Police Retirement Plan. And R24-131, a resolution authorizing an agreement between the City of Arvada and Symetra Life Insurance Company for stop-loss insurance coverage in an amount not to exceed $1,472,078. Councilmember Pfeiffer.
I'll make the motion if there's any questions.
There's no questions.
I move that Resolution 24-128, Resolution 24-129, and Resolution 24-131 be approved.
All right. Councilmember Ambrose, how do you vote?
Yes.
All right. All votes are cast. That passes 6-0 with Councilmember Marriott being an excused absence. Thank you very much. Next, I will open Resolution R24-132, a resolution authorizing Amendment Number 2 to an intergovernmental agreement by and between the City of Arvada and the Arvada Urban Renewal Authority to complete landscape improvements on Ralston Road, Yukon Street to Garrison Street, City Project Number 18-ST-40. Ms. Rhodes, I believe you have this item.
Thank you. Good evening, Council. Council action is requested authorizing an extension of the agreement between the City of Arvada and Arvada Urban Renewal Authority, ORA, to complete landscape improvements on Ralston Road. The Ralston Road Phase 2 project has been completed, and the contractor was issued the initial warranty for the project. This IGA with ORA funds landscaping and other streetscape elements for the project. The current IGA is in place until December 31st, 2024. Final payment has not yet been made to the contractor and is not anticipated to be made prior to the end of this agreement. There are also additional landscaping items scheduled for completion next year by a different contractor. The extension of this IGA will provide time to pay the invoices associated with final payment, as well as complete the landscape areas near Garrison Street that were postponed due to ongoing development construction in that area. No additional funds are being requested under this amendment. This is solely a request for an extension of time to use the existing approved funds. The Arvada team recommends that City Council approve R24-132, a resolution authorizing Amendment Number 2 to an intergovernmental agreement by and between the City of Arvada and the Arvada Urban Renewal Authority to complete landscape improvements on Ralston Road, Yukon Street to Garrison Street, City Project Number 18-ST-40.
Perfect. Councilmember Davis.
Is there any discussion, Council?
I see no lights.
I'd like to make the motion.
It's all yours.
I move that R24-132, a resolution authorizing Amendment Number 2 to an intergovernmental agreement by and between the City of Arvada and the Arvada Urban Renewal Authority to complete landscape improvements on Ralston Road, Yukon Street to Garrison Street, City Project Number 18-ST-40 be approved.
All right. All members have cast their votes. Councilmember Ambrose, how do you vote?
Yes.
All right. That passes 6-0 with Councilmember Marriott being an excused absence. Next, I will open R24-133, a resolution authorizing the expenditure of City of Arvada Human Services Funding Pool funds for 2025 to agencies providing emergency help, program assistance, and other assistance to Arvada citizens. Ms. Espinoza, I believe you have this item.
Good evening, Mayor, members of Council. The Arvada Human Services Advisory Committee recommends the expenditure of $260,000 in budgeted funds for various programs carried out by qualified nonprofit organizations determined to provide services to populations in need. These services may be direct services, information and referrals, or the coordination of other services that assist low and moderate income households. The 2025 Human Services application cycle received a total of 28 applications, with the requests totaling over $839,000. The advisory committee prioritized its decisions based on the overall application score, alignment with City Council strategy, service application, and the number of Arvada residents served. The advisory committee narrowed the applications from 28 down to 20 for approval. On November 11th, 2024, the Human Services Advisory Committee presented the funding recommendations to the Arvada City Council. At the meeting, 2 members of the council suggested that the Human Services Advisory Committee reconsider one of the recommendations and rather increase funding to a local nonprofit. The advisory committee considered the council's suggestion and decided to stand behind its original recommendation. The Arvada City Council appoints the members of the Human Services Advisory Committee, and the committee understands that they serve at the pleasure of the City Council. The committee understands that the City Council may reject or modify the funding recommendations. The 20 applications recommended for funding this evening are the same recommendations made during the City Council workshop and are attached for your review. The city team recommends approval of this resolution.
Mayor Pro Tem Mormon.
I will make the motion if there aren't any questions.
I see no lights.
I move that R 24-133, a resolution authorizing the expenditure of City of Arvada Human Services Funding Pool funds for 2025 to agencies providing emergency help, program assistance, and other assistance to Arvada citizens be approved.
All right. Councilmember Ambrose, how do you vote?
Yes.
All right, all votes are cast. That passes 6-0 with Councilmember Marriott being an excused absence. Next, I will open R 24-134, a resolution authorizing a memorandum of understanding between the City of Arvada and Jefferson County School District R1 related to the creation of a public safety educational program. Mr. Jacks, I believe you have this one.
Good evening, Mayor Simpson, members of council. As council is aware, the Arvada Police Department participates with the Jefferson County School District R1 on a variety of matters involving school safety and training, including the department's SRO program and cooperative trainings at the DeAngelis Training Center. R1 is in the early stages of developing a future public safety educational program that'll be housed at the former Moore Middle School that will provide education and training opportunities to students in their high school years who are aspiring to become law enforcement officers or first responders. This memorandum of understanding just memorializes the Arvada Police Department's willingness to partner with R1 in these efforts. The city team is recommending that council approve R 24-134.
Councilmember Davis.
Any discussion, council? I'd like to make the motion.
All yours.
I move that R 24-134, a resolution authorizing a memorandum of understanding between the City of Arvada and Jefferson County School District R1 related to the creation of a public safety educational program be approved.
All right, votes are cast, and before I show the votes, I'd just like to make a quick note that this is an absolutely fantastic adaptive reuse of this building. It's still educational. It's meeting a critical component in our community and our society's needs to provide this training. It's an excellent facility for it, so just congratulations, team. Congratulations to our partners at the school district for making this possible. I look forward to seeing what it can do. With that, Ms. Ambrose, how do you vote?
Yes.
All right, all votes are cast. That passes 6-0 with Councilmember Marriott being an excused absence. Finally, I will open R 24-135, a resolution authorizing an agreement between the City of Arvada and Sandpiper Arvada LLC for emergency sheltering not to exceed $1,134,000. And Ms. Espinoza, you also have this item.
Thank you, Mayor. On January 8th, 2024, the Arvada City Council approved an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Arvada and the Colorado Department of Local Affairs, or DOLA, for $1,914,000 under the Transformational Homelessness Response Grant Program. The grant funds allow the city to increase resources and services to the unhoused community and will be used to address the following needs, such as homeless street outreach, bridge housing, and emergency shelter. This agenda item is specific to the bridge housing and emergency shelter components approved in the grant. The city received grant funding to partner with the motel to provide a safe, supportive, and temporary environment while an individual experiencing homelessness works to secure permanent housing. It is incredibly challenging for someone who is living outside to take the steps necessary to find and move into housing. Having the temporary shelter of a motel room allows for the stability that a person needs to rest, engage, and have the motivation necessary to keep moving forward. The city started its search for a motel partner in July of 2024. Following state and local requirements, the city posted a request for proposals in BidNet asking interested parties to provide necessary information regarding their location, pricing, etc. We've received one proposal, and our attempts to negotiate with the motel owner were unsuccessful. We reissued the RFP in September of 2024 and received one proposal from Sandpiper Hospitality, the owner of the Extended Suburban Studios, located at 64th and Sheridan in Arvada. The city team is interested in executing an agreement with the Extended Suburban Studios to secure up to 35 rooms a night for emergency shelter and bridge housing purposes. Staff feels the partnership with the Extended Suburban Studios is beneficial for the following reasons. 1, security. The Extended Suburban Studios will hire a security team that will be on site daily from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Guests who do not abide by the motel rules must leave the premises. Another reason is accountability. The city's homeless resolution case managers will be on site 20 to 30 hours per week, meeting with the guests and creating plans to assist individuals in taking steps to secure long-term housing. Shelter guests will be required to meet with case managers regularly to create a personalized and actionable plan that targets the root causes of their housing instability and will need to continue to show progress with this plan. If the City Council approves this agreement, emergency shelter and bridge housing services will commence in January 2025. It is expected that the sheltering and the services will end in March or April 2026. So this is a temporary solution. We're thinking about it will last about 15 to 16 months. The city team believes that executing an agreement with the Extended Suburban Studios is the best option for emergency shelter at this time. The motel is local, allowing for ease of service delivery, and the owners are cooperative and supportive of the services offered. This partnership will allow for a temporary solution while the city strives to identify long-term strategies to address homelessness. The Arvada team recommends approval of this resolution. And I also have several members of the city team here this evening to help answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Marmon, your light was first.
I would like to make the motion, but I'll
It
hold
is-
for any questions.
It is, you have the motion reserved. Councilmember Davis.
Thank you. Thank you for this, Ms. Espinoza. I have a couple of questions. Number one, what is considered to be an emergency?
So this emergency shelter program, the individuals who are provided a motel room will be referred by the homeless resolution case managers. They're individuals that are showing motivation, who are interested in taking the next step forward in their journey in finding housing. So the homeless resolution case managers will be the folks identifying who goes into the rooms. As far as a shelter stay, we're anticipating that the average length of stay will be 30 to 45 days. It's long enough to allow the case managers time to identify what those barriers might be, what some of the struggles are for some of the guests staying at the motel. So it gives the resolution case managers time, and it also provides a sense of stability for folks to rest and actually be able to engage in services. When you're living outside, it's very difficult to do that, to have that motivation, because you haven't had a good night's rest, you may not have had something to eat. It's a very challenging thing to do.
Yes, thank you. And then my next question is, it stated that guests who do not abide by the motel rules must leave the premises. And in the second bullet, it says, if the clients in the hotel are causing problems at the hotel or within the community, then they will be asked to leave and cannot utilize the resource. Are we following up with any of those folks that we that meet those rules, that they have to leave the premises? Or what are we doing? We're just saying you have to leave and putting them out on the sidewalk, or what's happening?
Well, right now, we don't have this program in place, so nothing's happening at the moment, but that is correct. People need to follow the motel rules. We're not going to allow someone to disrupt others who are also guests at the motel, as well as residents in the community. It's not going to be tolerated with this program. There is overnight security that will be there to monitor the premises, and Alex and Hudson, the homeless resolution case managers, they will be on site 20 to 30 hours a week, we're anticipating at this time, to follow up with individuals, to support them, but also to meet with the management staff. And if they are aware of some issues that are happening, they will try to intervene. And if they cannot make the situation better, the guest will be asked to leave.
Okay. It has been my experience that when someone is asked to leave a shelter for bad behavior, that then they go forth and conquer into the community and cause community harm. Is there a way that you're engaging with either the police department or other social programs to make sure that when we do put somebody out, when we evict them, I'm trying to find a good word, when we're asking them to leave the premises, that they're not going out into the community and causing harm, whether it's harm to property or just hooligan dashing? I mean, it's been my experience that when people are asked to leave somewhere, they are angry.
Okay. And I've seen both. We did, during COVID, we placed a number of people in the motels because congregate sheltering was not an option at the time. And we saw both. We saw some individuals who were asked to leave, and they did so peacefully. At times, there may be someone who goes out into the community and does just as you had described. We will contact the police department if we find that someone is being disruptive in the community, absolutely.
Thank you.
Are there additional questions? Mr. Rupert?
Yeah, I think maybe Ms. Davis's point wasn't completely addressed. I think we can foresee that if someone is being asked to leave the premises because they're not abiding by the rules of the facility, that there will be a challenge later, and it seems to me we need to have an actual plan for those individuals. And so I'm interested to hear what sort of planning is happening there. I'm not worried about how we get them out the door. That's a pretty simple process. I'm concerned about what happens later and where it might be happening.
Sure. And so if we find that someone did leave the facility and did go out in the community and they are causing issues, we will contact the police department.
Okay.
Okay.
If I may, I think what I'm hearing is we would rather be proactive than reactive. We don't want there to be damage to somebody in the community, to a resident, to a home, to a property or anything, and then us have to react. So maybe we just put a little more forethought into, Councilmember Marriott's idea that if somebody's being asked to leave, this is a pedestrian area. This is not, and it's heavy traffic. It is not going to be easily just moved on from. They will have to go somewhere. There's not a bus line right there. So just let's have a plan in place for how we help them get on to their next place and not just turn them out on the street.
Sure.
Councilmember Ambrose.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Ms. Espinoza. I do recall you bringing up this item to our 5 p.m. and talking to Chief Brady about this, as the Suburban Suites is a call driver in District 2 already when it is not well managed. And businesses in District 2 around that intersection have complained about it before this program. So with implementing this program, I already heard from the team that the police do have a plan in place to anticipate an increased call volume that could be possible with this. However, I'd like to remind everybody on council that this is a specific segment of the population of homelessness than we have served before with a voucher program. It sounds like during the pandemic it was required, it was given to everybody, and I know other people are thinking about, have brought up the example of severe weather shelter network, which is also bringing in everybody, making sure they don't freeze to death and then releasing them when the temperatures drop. However, this is a very specific clientele of people who are facing homelessness, people who want services, who want something better, and would be in these facilities, in the motel for 30 to 45 days. So I think with the kinds of negative blowback that we are anticipating, or have heard about before that was serving different segments of people who have higher barriers to homelessness. And I think these are being referrals from people who want services. Am I right in that understanding that, Ms. Espinoza?
You're correct, Councilmember Ambrose, and I appreciate you making that comment. These are folks who are heavily engaged with the homeless resolution case managers. This is a different procedure than severe weather shelter network. These are folks who are maintaining their appointments with us. They're going out and taking steps in their action plan already. They are motivated to end the situation. So while I can't guarantee that there won't be any issues at the motel, these folks have a lot of opportunity ahead of them, and they are motivated. The folks in the Bridge Housing Program, they have a permanent housing solution. Most of them will have a permanent voucher in their hand. They want to use that. They don't want to stay in their current situation. So it will, as Councilmember Ambrose stated, this is a different clientele. It's not severe weather.
Thank you. Yeah, and I also think it's different than the COVID population you were
Correct.
dealing with, which was also anybody in the shelter needs to be housed. Doesn't matter if they have high barriers or resistant to services or not. We need to put them someplace. And so I think this is a different program. And I also think that from what I heard from the police program and the security team, it sounds like if somebody's being extremely disruptive, that we're not just going to be like, okay, leave the property, and person's out on the street to kick in the doors of Mi Tierra Caliente nearby, that the police will be called that this person is being disruptive and being asked to leave, and follow-up steps, and that the communication and coordination between the security team and the police, it sounds organized and is of high importance.
Thank you, Councilmember Ambrose. Councilmember Rupert.
Thank you, Councilmember Ambrose, for clarifying that. And it sounds like this population is engaged and invested in their solutions, and I'm persuaded that this is a good place for them. It's a proper, appropriate use of our funding for emergency shelter. Thanks.
Perfect. Mayor Pro Tem Mormon, you have a question?
Yes, and then if there aren't any more, I'll proceed with the motion.
I have a couple myself, but please.
Okay, my question is, just to be clear, we have not really done something like this before. Is that a correct assessment? I mean, we've given vouchers, but not having something essentially located in which our navigation staff can be there 40 hours, I think is what you said, a week. We have not had that opportunity before. Is that a correct assessment?
That's correct. Our experience has been with the severe weather sheltering and supporting people. So it's the one, we're sheltering someone for one night, where now we have a longer term opportunity to help folks move to the next step. So yes, this is new.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much. I just have a couple of quick questions just from my own context. What was the difference between the two RFPs if we received an RFP response one and then we received a separate one a couple of months later?
So the first time we issued the RFP, we received one response, and we attempted to negotiate with that motel owner, and we were not successful. They ultimately backed out of the deal. So in order to secure another motel, we had to reissue the same RFP. So same RFP, we just had to reissue it.
Okay, perfect. It was the same RFP. I just wasn't sure if there were differences in between them or not. And then my final question is, I like this. I like what we're doing here. I think it's very good. I really appreciate Councilmember Ambrose's sort of elucidating the differences between the populations that we're trying to serve here and the knowledge that these groups, that these folks are engaged. The suburban suites already tends to be a long-term sheltering location for families on the cusp of homelessness. They've lost permanent housing. They may still have a job. They're paying week to week, and they're already in this location. Will those folks, even though they may not be already inside of our case management system, if they were to approach a case manager, would it be possible for them to access services as well?
Absolutely. And there are possibilities. So the Jefferson County Homeless Navigators, they serve a lot of homeless families. So there's the potential there to connect the families at the Extended Suburban Studios with the county, because they have an array of services for families already at the county, or we can work with them.
Okay. Excellent.
Specifically ourselves.
Thank you. And Shauna, you have one more? Apologies, Councilmember Ambrose.
That's fine. I just wanted could you make clear what is Arvada taxpayer funds and what is federal grant funds?
So the entire grant, the 1.914 million, that is state funds. It's federal funds that the state received. It's not Arvada dollars.
Okay, so this is federal funds that will help Arvadans, even though Arvadan taxpayers haven't, paid locally tax. This is part of the federal tax.
Correct.
Okay, I just wanted to make that clear about where the monies are coming from.
Okay. All right, with that, we have a motion on the table. Mr. Mormon.
I move that R24-135, a resolution authorizing agreement between the City of Arvada and Sandpiper Arvada LLC for emergency sheltering not to exceed $1,134,000 be approved. And I'll just add that as a comment, I'll be supporting this. I think this is really an important, one of those missing pieces that we have in addressing homelessness. There's many of them, but I'm appreciative that we are taking this step forward and we have this opportunity with this hotel to do that. And I think the questions raised tonight are, very important ones about security that I know that your staff and our police department will be looking at very closely. So I appreciate those efforts as well. And just think that as folks move on this continuum, that we know it is a continuum of homelessness, that this piece will help move those folks along to more permanent housing. And so I appreciate your efforts in this. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Councilmember Davis.
Thank you for all of this, and thank you for the explanation. I would like to see maybe something a little more firmer in how we respond to folks who are asked to leave. Just, it's for my benefit and the benefit of the community. Thank you.
Absolutely, that's fair.
All right, and with that, Councilmember Ambrose, how do you vote?
Yes.
All right. This vote passes 6-0 with Councilmember Marriott being an excused absence. Thank you very much, Ms. Espinoza, for your team and your hard work. All right, I will open this evening's public hearings now. First, I will open the public hearing for CB 24-020, an ordinance authorizing an additional appropriation for fiscal year 2024, ordinance number 4886. Mr. Archer, you have this item.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I just want to wish happy holidays to all of the council members, and Councilmember Rupert, welcome. So hopefully you all had the opportunity to review this information in the packet. I plan on going pretty quickly. Just want to talk a little bit about our annual budget process. So as you know, you approve the next year budget in the prior year by the end of October. So for this year, the 2024 budget was approved by October of 2023 by ordinance. We then bring you what we call a carryover ordinance. These are all the items that weren't spent in the prior year. And for 2024, this happened in April. Throughout the year, as you just saw, various resolutions come to you that you make a motion and approval on. However, resolutions do not change the legal authority. They only give us the ability to continue with business. So at the end of the year, we need to come back to you and do what we call clean up everything. So we sometimes call this the cleanup ordinance, sometimes call this a supplemental. And a quick description, what it is, I just talked about that, why we did it, and then when. These are the numbers. So the original budget, about $387 million. We brought to you about a $97 million carryover ordinance, quite large, which put us at about $484 million. We are now bringing to you tonight approximately $26.5 million of additional items. These will look very familiar to you as we run through them for a final revised budget of $511,134,139. Same piece of information, just broken down a little further. I know Councilmember Pfeiffer, you had asked in the past if we would provide this information. And so if this is not what you're looking for, please let us know. We will continue to add additional detail. But this is by fund, and you can see what was carried over, what is included in the cleanup, and ultimately the final budget. All of these requests have either revenue offsets, as Ms. Espinoza discussed just a minute ago with her grant, or additional funds that we have received throughout the year. You will notice with our golf and restaurants, or we have sufficient reserves that we are putting into place. Let's start with the general fund. Again, approximately about $10.5 million. All of these are being funded by additional revenue, grants, or reimbursements, or other items in our fund balance. So three main areas. One, $6.3 million for the purchase of a piece of property, $4 million for an additional piece to the urban renewal of a very short-term loan, and then finally about $118,000 of various small operating expenditures that were grants and other additional revenue increases. To put it in perspective, the $118,000 you see up there is less than 1% and actually about 0.8% of our overall budget. So the team has done a wonderful job throughout the year managing their budget, and these are some very small items that have come up. And that detail is included in your packet if you want to ask about any very specific items. Otherwise, we'll continue. So on the Community Development Fund, we just talked about this, the $1.9 million Division of Housing ARPA grant. Under the Housing Authority, we have 2 additional grants for rental assistance, a $2.5 million and a $360,000. This will help us to continue and expand our support, our rental support. On the police seizure side, we are going to use some of those seizure funds to buy a new K-9 vehicle, approximately $50,000. Under the tax increment, we have $226,000 of grant funding that they received throughout the year. They were very active. We've talked about this during our quarterly presentations, and about $15,000 related to some small offsets for equipment and crash reporting. On the capital improvement side, we heard a presentation earlier, or some public comment on the AC. So this is how we're funding parts of the AC, $1.6 million of additional revenue, which ultimately gets transferred to the construction fund. We'll talk about that here in a minute. $388,000 for electric charging stations, and a very small related expense to Ralston Road. On the construction side, you will see an additional $5 million that is needed to finish the AC. I think the gentleman made reference to $50 million. It was actually about $45 million final dollars for that pool, and this is to close it out. And this funding is being shared by the City of Arvada and Jefferson County Public Schools, along with the support from Apex.
Mr. Archer, just to clarify, because you just alluded to it there, was that $45 million from the city and $45 million from the schools, or all in?
Mayor, thank you. That was all in.
Thank you.
On the golf course side, you will see increases in various line items, including inventory, temporary wages, operating supplies, and then some small concrete repairs. All of these were covered by increased round and fee revenue. We discussed this in November around how well both the golf and the restaurants did. So this is to offset on the expenditure side the revenues that they received. In our insurance fund, we had some smaller increases under property and then some accidents that were caused, not our fault, but we still end up having to pay for those. We will get reimbursed back. However, we do have to ask an increase for the expenditures. On the computer side, this is an area where we save up. So this is one of our replacement funds. And so we are asking you to allow us a permission to spend the dollars that we've been saving over a period of time to buy new computers. On the vehicle side, same story here. These are all pieces of equipment that have been saved up over periods of time. Some of these we're bringing forward a little bit earlier to take advantage of either year-end sales or items that we felt like we could buy at a lower rate. In the building fund, this is a very good story. We were able to finalize our lease agreement, which City Council approved earlier this year, with the post office. We are able to get a back payment from them that we immediately put to work on adding the maintenance of that facility. So this is completely offset by lease payments received from the post office. And that is it.
I will open it for council questions, comment, or action. Councilmember Pfeiffer.
Do we need public comment on this one? It's a public hearing,
Do we need?
isn't it?
We would. We do need
Okay.
public comment.
Then,
Okay.
thank you. I will open it for public comment. And is there anyone in the public who would like to speak to these items at this time? Seeing none, Ms. Rush, are there any on Zoom? Seeing none, I will close the public comment portion. Thank you, Mr. Pfeiffer. I'm so used to budget presentations with Mr. Archer. All right. Now, council questions or
I think
action.
we should invite more people to come comment on his things.
I know.
You would be excited. I move that Council Bill 24-020 and Ordinance authorizing an additional appropriation for fiscal year 2024 be approved on final reading number 4886 and ordered published by title only.
Thank you.
And you did a great job, Brian.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Mr. Archer, you are indeed one of our superheroes here in the city. All right, with that, Ms. Ambrose, how do you vote?
Yes.
And that passes 6-0 with Councilmember Marriott being an excused absence. Thank you very much,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Archer. Next, I will open 2 items. I will do the first and then the second, but we will tackle them separately. Regarding Luxelocker, an 8.397 acre lot generally located at Lot 1, Block 2, Candelas, 93-72, South Filing Number 1, southwest corner of State Highway 72 in Liberty Canyon Lane, for those watching at home. The presenter is Mr. Smetana. You have this one.
Thank you, Mayor. As you mentioned, Luxelocker is requesting a PUD development plan and preliminary plat approval for the development of a self-storage facility, which will contain 6 buildings. The property was annexed to the city in 1994 as part of the Candelas project. It has been zoned planned unit development since that time of annexation. The proposed use is consistent with the comprehensive plan designation of neighborhood and community commercial for this site. Access to the property will be provided via new private streets that are being developed as part of a larger subdivision in the area that encompasses kind of that whole southeast corner of Highway 93 and 72. Approximately 38% of the site will be landscaped. Following their public hearing on November 12th of this year, the Planning Commission did vote to recommend approval of both of these items to the City Council on a vote of 6-0. Notice for this hearing was provided through publication in a local paper, mailed notice, signed posting on the property, and the item being listed on the City Council agenda. We have received the signed posting log and mailing affidavit, and they are in order. The applicant is in attendance for presentation and questions. We also have Senior Planner Jeremiah Bebo here if you have any questions for staff. Thank you.
Ms. Morris, would you like me to open item number 1 or have the applicant make his presentation first?
So I would go ahead and open both items.
Okay.
We'll handle them separately when we come to the decision-making piece. So after we've had the applicant's presentation and public comment and all of that. But for now, I would open up both just to make sure that we get all the information and then we'll vote separately.
All right, then I will open both items. First is PUD development plan for Luxelocker located at Lot 1, Block 2, Candelas, 93-72 South, filing number 1 on the southwest corner of State Highway 72 and Liberty Canyon Lane. And then item number 2 is the major subdivision preliminary plat for Luxelocker located at Lot 1, Block 2, Candelas, 93-72 South, filing number 1, southwest corner of State Highway 72 and Liberty Canyon Lane. With that, I'd like to invite the applicant up. Quickly, I'll swear you in. Do you swear to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, thank you very much. Please.
Name and address as well? Or
Full name and address, yes.
yes, David Ferretti, 7324 Brecourt Manor Way, Austin, Texas, 78739. Thank you for letting me speak here today. So what I'd like to do is talk about the project itself, the operation side, the design, a few comments that came out of the Planning Commission as well, too. So what we do here is a very unique product. We create a premium storage solution that serves as an extension of our customers. So what it is a large RV and boat, fully enclosed, no outdoor, no covered storage with large roll-up doors as well too, that we both rent out, about half of them, and then we condo the other half out, and we actually sell them so people can purchase these. It's a unique product. It started in Lake Havasu where the owners are. It's very common in that area, and we're starting to branch out in other states as well too. Those are governed by CC&Rs and an HOA, and there's a common area maintenance fees. So the landscaping is being taken care of. Some of the additional services we provide here are an RV dump, an RV wash bay, restrooms as well too. We provide security cameras throughout, access control. It is an unmanned facility. There is a perimeter fence around all around all sides. Some of the benefits we see for a community is a lot of people that have these large boats or these large RVs, they live in HOA communities that don't allow them there, right? So as if you've been along the 72 highway, you see all of these RVs and boats parked outside, being weathered, right? And we don't see our product type in here. We see a very large demand for that because of that. We're very low impact to utilities, very low in water, sewer, power, and almost one of the lowest traffic counts. So we're not, in terms of developments, we consider ourselves good neighbors to the retail and the housing that surrounds us. I'll kind of walk us into that's our site. If you're not familiar with it, I'll walk you through our site plan. It's mostly the perimeter is, like I said, the walls or the buildings. We have a main entrance there on the right side with an emergency exit. Come along Liberty Canyon Road as well too. These are all single-story pre-engineered metal buildings. In some of the later slides, I'll show you the renderings and the elevations, kind of talk about the materials and colors that were selected working with your team. A lot of time was spent on the enhanced landscaping of this. There was a lot of back and forth between our team and your staff, meetings and concept meetings and follow-up meetings as well too. I think we got to what I think is a very attractive, presentable site. I think the Planning Commission even said it was the sexiest storage project you ever saw. So we appreciate that. Everyone on our team was happy to hear that. If we need to follow back up, this is how we met all the PUD development criteria. And this is if we need to follow up on what it looks like within our larger site. Obviously, we're part of the Candelas larger development. We have been working with them since the jump. They have reviewed our plans, our official submittal to them. We have their written approval that that we meet all their design guidelines within their PUD that they created. This is the major subdivision plat, how we met all these requirements. We can circle back if needed. Here's a kind of a bird's eye rendering of what we do here. Like I said, it shows some of the, this isn't the most current landscape, but this does give you a good idea of what between the articulation, the colors. We put in clear story windows in there as well too, to kind of give it some of that massing as well. Here's what you would see from our main entry. This is a very standard look for us. We like it. We think it's clean. We think it's contemporary as well too. Try to fit into the neighborhood. Some just elevations. They're all very similar, all the buildings. Like I said, each one has large roll-up doors. We actually have two different types of units as well too. A standard unit, which is typically our rental unit, and then we have an upgrade unit. We call it the Lux unit, which has upgrade electrical and HVAC as well too. And those are also insulated, which will help in those obviously cold winters. And this last one is just the materials we're using. Like I said, we're working with your team here to work with what the color palette, make sure we're lighting the site appropriately, make sure we're providing the access control that's needed. And then one question that also did come up, or two questions, was there a need for storage? So we have our own internal demographics between the HOA communities and the outdoor storage. We found that for us, there's a very large demand for your constituents. And the second question they had, well, one of them that was important was the Candelas approval, which I mentioned earlier, that we do have their approval for this exact design. So I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Okay. Quickly, before we go to questions, I'd like to open it to public comment. Is there any member of the public who'd like to give comment on this item? Ms. Rush, any on Zoom? Seeing none, I will close the public comment portion. Now I will open it to council questions. Ms. Davis, you had the first question.
Thank you, and thank you for this, thank you for the presentation. And they are very attractive.
Oh, thank you.
I don't know about sexy, but they are very
That's the first time I've ever heard that. It might be too much.
Speak to me of fire suppression.
Yes, these are all sprinkler buildings, and the hydrants are provided as well, too. Yeah.
Councilmember Pfeiffer.
So I drive this way all the time. How about access? Did we talk to CDOT about access, or how's that going to work?
Yeah, so we did send referrals to CDOT for this project. And so the master developer, the Candelas group, they're working with CDOT to do their improvements along Highway 93 and 72 as well. So they're kind of coordinating that piece. And this application won't be able to go vertical essentially until a lot of their improvements are constructed. CDOT has been sent a referral for this site-specific application.
Yeah, we need to watch that because Republic has a hard time getting the trash trucks in and out, let alone we're going to have these $250,000 to $500,000 RVs pulling out on a highway that's still going 60 miles per hour because it only turns 45 right here, and no one listens to that. So
I can follow up with them.
we need to really make sure because either ingress, egress needs to be safe for these vehicles to get in and out on both highways because speed limits are 55, but everyone goes, 65 or 70. But
for their final development plan submittal, I'll send another referral out to them too, and I'll make sure to hone in on that issue
or
for
provide
you.
left lane, right in, right out, or move that light, or just something that's safe because right now it's not safe in this area at all. And PD should know how many crashes they deal with in this area.
Yep.
So
It's almost like we need some significant highway improvements in this entire corridor or something.
we do. We definitely. I mean, they need to have a left in on both sides, either way, Highway 72 or 93. But there's just no way you're just going to have this, A-class sit in the middle of 93, waiting to turn left for 4 hours. So that's the only concern I have. Are you working? It's JCMD, I'm assuming, is doing this?
Yeah, they're doing the master development. I know that they're working on highway widening plans for Highway 93 right now, both for this section and then the section just north of Highway 72, and then widening along this portion for Highway 72 as well. They're nearly there with CDOT. I don't think that they've given the final approvals, but they're included.
A lot of people have been asking around it, so they see the grading happening in this area. Which is probably prepping for you.
They are, yes. We haven't obviously got started construction yet, but they are prepping.
I was told Starbucks, so I'm sorry I said it was Starbucks.
I like Starbucks.
I don't know if I was wrong. Apparently I'm way off. It's not Starbucks. But just a lot of people have been asking questions out there about it. And the most exciting day I had was when I got my boat and when I got rid of my boat. So
that's the story.
And the reason I was excited is because I didn't want to winterize it. So too bad these are a little bit later because you could have just thrown in one of these and not winterize it. So I'm sure these will sell out fairly quick.
Yeah, it's funny. We tend to come in the really cold climates and then the really hot climates. They're based out of like the Lake Havasu and the Phoenix, and people are trying to get them from just getting roasted in the sun during the summer. And obviously, you guys are trying to not winterize it during the winter.
Okay. No, I don't have any other questions. It's just the access off the highways was my concern.
All right. Then seeing no more questions, I'll accept a motion for the PU development plan only. Councilmember Pfeiffer.
I guess I can do it. Let me make sure I have the right one. I move that PUD development plan for Luxelocker located at Lot 1, Block 2, Candelas 93-92, South Filing Number 1, which is the southwest corner of State Highway 72 and Liberty Canyon Lane, be approved. This motion is based on the finding of fact and required conditions, if any, adopted by the Planning Commission.
All right. Council will cast their votes. Councilmember Ambrose, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you very much. All votes are cast. That passes 6-0 with Councilmember Marriott being an excused absence. Excellent. So next we have the second item, the major subdivision preliminary plat for Luxelocker located at Lot 1, Block 2, Candelas 9372, South Filing Number 1. And I will open it to council questions on this particular item or action as well.
I'll just make the motion.
All yours.
I move that the major subdivision.
You're right. Public comment quickly on this item.
Well, we opened them together and closed them together, so we're good.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. You're good.
I move that major subdivision preliminary plat for Luxelocker located at Lot 1, Block 2, Candelas 93-72, South Filing Number 1, southwest corner. I feel like I was reading something again to make sure I was on the right page. Southwest corner of State Highway 72 and Liberty Canyon Lane be approved. This motion is based on the finding of fact and any required conditions adopted by the Planning Commission.
Yep. Councilmember Ambrose, how do you vote?
Yes.
All right, all votes are cast. That passes 6-0 with Councilmember Marriott being an excused absence. Thank you very much, everybody. Congratulations, Luxelocker. We look forward to welcoming you into our community.
Yeah.
All right. With that, I will close the public comment, close the hearings portion of this evening's agenda and open the second public comment portion of this evening's agenda. It is the 5-minute limit. We have no one signed up, I believe. Is there anyone in chambers this evening that would like to speak at this time? Seeing none, Ms. Rush, anyone on Zoom? Seeing none, I will close the second public comment portion of this evening, and I will open it for City Council reports. Councilmember Davis.
I just want to wish everyone happy holidays, Merry Christmas. It's been a great year, great first year working with everybody. Thank you for putting up with my questions and my shenanigans. I really appreciate it. Tomorrow I will be doing a police ride-along in the Baker sector. Is that correct? And I'm really looking forward to it. Anyone else who would like to join me here at 5:30 a.m. For roll call, I would love for you to join me. But thank you again, and happy holidays, everyone.
Let me look at my calendar. You know what? It's 5:30 to what?
5:30 a.m. I think I'm going to go till lunch.
I might come with you. You want me to come along?
I don't know if they have room in the vehicles.
No, they have 2 seats in the rear.
I
You
can
guys
ride
are
in the
good.
back. Some people might enjoy me back there. Councilmember Pfeiffer, you were next.
Yeah, I was just going to echo wishing everyone a good holiday and the staff for everything you do. I know it's been a tough year, good, bad, and ugly, and enjoy this time off. And I'm assuming some of you are taking vacation. I don't expect you all to just leave.
I do.
Okay, maybe. But I just want to wish you guys a good holiday and the whole city. I mean, everyone does a great job, and it's been a lot of work lately, and I've seen them all over the city just pounding the pavement and working all the time. So I appreciate everyone's hard work this year, and hopefully they spend a little time with their families. So that's all I wanted to say today. And have fun in the back of the police car. The handles do not work.
Oh, man. Mayor Pro Tem Mormon.
Thank you, Mayor, and I'll just echo, thank you, everybody at the team for all the work you've done this past year. I think we've gotten some major accomplishments this past year and recognitions for those projects. I know during the year we've heard about other organizations recognizing us for, I know the Lake Arbor project sticks in my mind because it's my district of getting national recognition, I believe, for that. And so I just appreciate all the work that the team has done. And of course, the Aquatic Center, we can go on and on. We've done a lot this year. So thank you again, and ditto on, I hope everyone gets some good quality time of rest and being with family. So thank you and happy holidays.
Councilmember Rupert.
I want to thank council for appointing me last week. That's nice. And thank you for the warm welcome this evening. I very much look forward to visiting individually with each of you and with our team and catching up, because there's a lot of catching up to do. But I look forward to working with you.
Thank you. Councilmember Ambrose, would you like to share anything?
Yeah, season's greetings to everybody. Welcome, Councilmember Rupert. Glad to have you on.
What time is it in Portugal, Councilmember Ambrose?
2:29 a.m.
Oh, my goodness. All right. We will not delay this much longer then. Team, I just want to echo all of the incredible sentiments that are up here. You guys, it's been a tough year, but it's also been an incredibly rewarding year. Each and every one of you has stepped up to the occasion every time you've been asked. I could not be more proud of each and every one of you. Cannot be more proud of the work you do for this city, and just thank you from the bottom of my heart, from the bottom of all of our hearts, for everything you do to serve this community. You guys are just rock stars, and we're so proud of each and every one of you. So with that, Ms. Haley.
Well, sincere thank you all, City Council, for your support. We so appreciate the jobs that you have, and we understand and appreciate how hard they can be as well. You are out there in the public eye representing us, and we so respect you for how difficult that can be at times. So thank you so much. I just want to wish you all happy holidays and Merry Christmas. This is our last meeting of the year. Thank you for the break, and we'll see you on January 6th.
Ms. Morris?
Happy holidays, everyone. Nothing else from me.
All right.
Thanks.
Happy holidays, Arvada. All right. We are adjourned.